Hi, this is the man from Modesto. I want to give some encouragement to people who are trying to get the word from God out to the people. Let's look at the case of Jeremiah. Jeremiah went through a lot of persecutions, and I'm going to go through the book of Jeremiah here. This is going to be a while, but listen to all the things that happen and look at consistently what happens. God punishes the people that come against Jeremiah, but he preserves Jeremiah's life. Now, you can't look at what is happening to Jeremiah to understand what we can expect for ourselves. And you can't look at what's happening against people who are serving God to discern whether or not the word they're giving really is from God or not. Now, let's look at this. In Jeremiah chapter 11, we see that a plot develops against Jeremiah. But the Lord warns him. It's the men of Anathoth are plotting to kill him. That's at 11:21. Now, here's what happens. Here's God's reaction. Anathoth's young men will die by the sword. Their sons and daughters shall die by famine. Okay, so they're coming against God's person. They're coming really against God. God says, okay, death. All right, that's the punishment there. Now, Jeremiah suffers persecution again in chapter 15, verse 15. And at 18, Jeremiah is complaining that, God, you're stronger than me. You give me all these words, and I'm delivering all these words, and none of it's coming to pass. It's been many years. It's been many years, and you're giving me all these words, and nothing's happening. So Jeremiah is he's heavily burdened. He's complaining now to God. Now, here's what God says at 19, 20, and 21. It says, if you take out the precious from the vial, you shall be as my mouth. Let them return to you, but don't return to them. He's saying you have an effect on them. You influence them, but don't let them influence you. Okay, you be the strong one. And this is a word for y'all. You be strong. You continue to preach what you understand, what God has told you. You continue to preach that. You give the warnings that God gives you, but you don't let petty tactics, personal insult, and these other things that are being thrown at us, we don't respond in that way. We do not respond in kind, okay? We hold the high ground, and we encourage them to come up here. But we don't go down the mountain, so to speak. Okay, now, at 21, he says, and I will deliver you out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem you out of the hand of the terrible. So here are three things God's asking for. 1, return to me. 2, stand before me. 3, take the good things out and leave the rotten stuff behind. Okay? And he said, if you will do this, then here's God's promises. 1, you're going to be a fenced brazen wall. 2, they will not prevail against you. 3, I will save you and deliver you. Save means to be saved from the enemies that are afflicting us in this physical place. And delivered means salvation, right? You'll be redeemed, right? Jesus is the Redeemer. Okay, so that's in 21. Delivered from the wicked and redeemed from the terrible. That's in 21. Okay, so that's 16:1. Jeremiah is told not to marry or have any children. Okay, this is another burden. Jeremiah kept going with it. Okay, we might receive some burdens, but we keep going with it. We don't quit. We don't go back. Okay, now, verse 18:18. The men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem devised devices against Jeremiah, saying, then they're saying, hey, look, let's just kill this guy. The word they use at 23 means to slay. Like, let's just slay him. Let's just cut him down. There'll still be prophecy without Jeremiah. We don't need him. We can get prophecy, right? They're not really worried about if it's the true, pure word from God. They just want to hear some prophecy, right? Tickling ears, right? They want to just hear something. Okay, now, at 20:1, Pashur, the son of Immer the priest, heard what Jeremiah prophesied. And so this is what Pashur does. He goes and he smacks Jeremiah in the face, and he has him put in stocks at the Benjamin gate, which is right by the house of the Lord. So everybody that's important in Jeremiah's life, everybody knows, walking by, ooh, man, Jeremiah got put in the stocks. Man, maybe, and some people, and you'll see people like this, it's the same mentality coming around today. Wow, I don't know, that guy, he must not really be from the Lord. I mean, how could he be put in stocks? People, you can't look at someone who's in a ministry for God and say, well, a tree fell on his car. Well, his church caught on fire, and say, for sure it means there's a problem in their ministry. Oh, something's wrong there. If God was for him, it can never come against him. We really just don't know that. The same question comes through my mind. Oh, wow, is maybe something wrong there? You don't know. It's inconclusive. The only way you can make a right judgment is by the Spirit. That's it. Okay, you can't just, appearances mean nothing. Okay, now, and here's what God's reaction is. Pashur and his entire house will die. That's at 20:6. Okay? Again, it's consistency. in God's reaction. At 29, Jeremiah, again, he's telling his burden to the God, and he also confesses that he's been disobedient. I have not been, Jeremiah stopped speaking. He's like, I don't want to speak anymore. So he said, okay, Lord, I held back. Now I'm going to come forth again. I'm recommitting myself. Okay, for any of you, if you've held back after persecution or consistent persecution, step back up again. Get back in the game. All right, that's not your place. That's not your place on the sidelines. It's your place in the front line. Okay, not the sideline, the front line. Okay, now in 23:28, the prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream, and he that hath my word, let him speak my word faithfully. Get this. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord? What is the chaff to you? Those people pecking at you, insulting you, coming against you with personal attacks, what are they to you? What are they to you? Nothing, my friend. Nothing. You're the wheat. You're the one that nourishes. You're the one that makes bread that's good for the heart. You produce that. It doesn't come from the chaff. The chaff is nothing. People die eating chaff. Okay, now 26:8. The priests and the prophets and all the people took him, saying, Thou shalt surely die. Okay, people are grabbing Jeremiah several times in his life. They come against him. And listen who it is. The priests and the prophets and all the people. Right? There's very few friends, and they're just not mentioned here. Hananiah, at chapter 28, Hananiah comes against Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the presence of the priests and all the people. So again, right in the public eye, Hananiah is coming against, saying, this is what God's saying. In 2 years, everything's coming back. It's all going to be good to go. And here's what happens here. Hear now, Hananiah, the Lord has not sent you, but you make this people trust in a lie. Behold, I will cast you from the earth. This year you will die, because you have taught rebellion against the Lord. And in the 7th month of that year, Hananiah died. Okay? So God is confirming the word through Jeremiah, and he's killing the people that are coming against Jeremiah. And it's the same thing. God is not inconsistent. Okay, chapter 36. Jeremiah, he's in prison, and he sends Baruch with all the prophecies to read them in front of the temple where there's a fast. From this, the same scroll is read to the princes, and from this it's read to the king, who rejects it and sends an order for Jeremiah and Baruch to be seized. Okay, now here's God's reaction against King Jehoiakim, who gave that order. Jehoiakim shall have no one to sit on the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out. Okay, at 36:31, Jehoiakim's entire family and his servants will be punished. Okay, so you don't even want to be associated with someone coming against God's people. You don't even want to be associated with them. Now, 37:13, Jeremiah prophesies a warning to King Zedekiah. And then Hananiah's son, Irijah, falsely accuses him. He's escaping to the Chaldeans, right? So he's thrown into prison. Jeremiah is thrown in prison again. Now in chapter 39 through 40, Jeremiah is taken in chains along with all the other prisoners. Okay, the Chaldeans overcome the city, and they're hauling Jeremiah off. He's in chains just with everyone else. Okay, later he's released though. Now in chapter 43, Jeremiah had been released. He's back in Jerusalem, and the rebels from the mountains come down, and they kill the appointed ruler, and now someone kills him, and now these people are like, well, we want to know what to do. And Jeremiah says, stay in the land. If you go to Egypt, you're going to die. And they said, Jeremiah, don't lie to us. And they go to Egypt anyway, and they force Jeremiah to go with them. Right? So Jeremiah is not having an exactly good life, but God promised that no one could kill him, and he continues to live here. Now, at 44:11, Jeremiah gets word. God is against these rebels who are living in Egypt, because they have refused to stop doing all the things that the people in Israel were doing that caused the destruction of Israel. Now, at chapter 45, you should go and read this chapter. Baruch has been complaining, like, oh man, my burden is just one heavy thing after another, and now just more worse things are being added to it. And God says, you know what? All flesh is going to endure something. All flesh is going to endure something, Baruch, but I'm going to preserve your life. I'm going to preserve your life. Now compare that back to chapter 15, verses 20 and 21. So people, our job is to serve God. Whatever word we receive, to deliver it faithfully. We don't worry if we get slapped. We don't worry if someone plans to kill us. We don't worry if we get put in stocks. We don't worry if we get humiliated in public in front of everyone. We just keep serving God, because the promise is redemption. The promise is to live wherever you go, okay, including the afterlife, to live in eternity in heaven, right? That is the ultimate prize, okay? So we are going to persevere. We must persevere. This is the man from Modesto reminding you all to pray or be defeated.